Well, attaching people's positions when they cannot meet their financial obligations has never been an easy job. COVID-19 has meant more people are struggling. Allan Murugan is from the South African Board for Sheriffs. He joins us now. Allan, good evening to you. I mean, the job of a sheriff is to sometimes manage evictions, sometimes you give people documents that they don't want to receive, sometimes you have to take attached goods from them. How much more difficult has it become since the start of the lockdown?
Good evening, Stephen. Thanks for giving us the opportunity. Generally, as you know, the duties of a sheriff or a deputy sheriff is generally very challenging, as we are at the tail end of the civil process, and frustration is quite high with the members of the public, especially if they failed in an attempt to save their property. COVID-19 has obviously escalated the tension of the public out there because of the financial crisis they are in under. And sheriffs are now forced to execute court orders and eviction orders together with any court process issued by the courts, even during COVID-19. Challenges have been great, especially when deputy sheriffs are out there trying to execute or enforce court judgments and trying at the same time to ensure that they adhere to the regulations of COVID-19. It has been challenging, especially for sheriffs and deputy sheriffs trying to execute and remove assets from the people. Emotions are high, violence sometimes creeps in. Deputy sheriffs, especially on the ground, trying to execute court orders to remove furniture. As you know, social distancing is one of the key factors that prevents the spread of the virus. It has been challenging for sheriffs and deputy sheriffs to enter people's property at this time.
Have you found that actually you've been busier? I mean, obviously, I presume during level 5, level 4 you weren't, but since then, have you found you've had more court orders to execute?
In certain areas, yes, we have. As you know, COVID-19 has also slowed the courts and the entire legal fraternity. Courts have been slow, attorneys have been slow, most people are working remotely at the moment. But yes, we are seeing an increase in court processes as of level 2. As you know, the whole legal process came to a standstill, so people are now pushing for judgments to be granted and obviously the accounts to be paid. We are seeing an increase in evictions, especially for residential property. Landlords are being frustrated that their rental is not paid. But as you know, the regulations prevent the sheriffs from evicting people, especially from land and residence. But yes, we have been seeing a drastic increase in calls for sheriffs to evict people from the property.
What do you do if someone just won't give up the property, won't leave the property, or won't let you attach their possessions? I mean, some of them will threaten violence. Sometimes, I don't know, people will even sit on the possessions that you're trying to attach.
Yes, we do find that. We do find that, especially now through COVID-19, we've seen an increase in attempted violence against sheriffs and deputy sheriffs across the country. As you know, people are frustrated, people are stressed out, losing their jobs, and now they have to lose their furniture and especially motor vehicles. We've seen violence against deputy sheriffs already. As you know, sheriffs are generally trained to handle situations of this nature. The South African Board for Sheriffs generally carries out extensive training that guides the sheriffs and deputy sheriffs as to how he or she should handle situations that obviously places him or her in danger. And the sheriffs normally call on the SAPS, the South African Police Services, to assist. But as you know, there as well, the SAPS is overwhelmed with the COVID-19 pandemic and obviously looking after the communities. If the situation requires and the deputy sheriff or sheriff is really in great danger, we generally call on the judgment creditor to provide private security assistance for the sheriff and deputy sheriff.
I mean, if we look at what's going to happen next, we're likely to see, unfortunately, more repossessions. The economic bite is still going to come. We're likely to perhaps see more evictions. Do you have enough capacity to do what you need to do? Do we have enough sheriffs?
Oh, yes. Look, in every district there's a sheriff. In every magisterial district in this country there is a sheriff appointed. And obviously he works with staff and required deputy sheriffs. Yes, sheriffs are geared to handle the increase in workflow and trained to carry out these evictions in a proper and orderly manner.
I mean, it must be, like, really difficult. I've got to ask, why would someone want to be a sheriff? I mean, I understand maybe being a police officer, but being a sheriff, I mean, it doesn't sound very rewarding, Allan.
Well, it's a difficult job. It takes time. It takes years for a sheriff or a deputy sheriff to get accustomed to being a deputy sheriff or a sheriff. But it's a job. It creates income. It creates employment for people out there. As you know, our country employment is a great difficulty, and the sheriff's profession has been assisting in creating employment. The South African Board for Sheriffs have been promoting the sheriff's profession to such an extent that more and more people are being able to enter the sheriff's profession. As you know, most importantly, sheriffs are the part of the civil justice system of our country. There's no court that can operate, or civil court that can operate without a sheriff. So somebody has to do the job. And yes, it is a challenging job. You have to be very cautious when approaching people out there because of frustration, because of financial stress.